Welcome back once again to the Highland Games Live Update Show. This is Mike Beach.
Spencer Tyler.
And we are brought to you, as always, by Throw Bros. Throw Bros is the only online store for throwing athletes. For Highland Games athletes, it's the only place where you can go online and get your tape, tacky, chalk, hammer blades, ebooks, resources, all that stuff all at once. You can even get in a sweet, sweet fanny pack. So go to throwbros.com, gear up, get throwing. We are also brought to you by Hate Brand Goods. And once again, I am rocking the little chest piece with Hate Brand Goods here. Oh, look at this.
The unicorn shirt on.
Oh, we doubled up. You are a unicorn, so that fits pretty
That's
well.
true.
You are some sort of unicorn.
That horn's right on the nip.
So Hate Brand Goods is some people that, look, they like a good variety of designs. They like stuff that comes out regularly. People that live active lifestyles, not afraid of a little bit of adventure. So head to thehate.com. That's HVIII.com. Now, at both of those sites, at Throw Bros and at Hate Brand Goods, you can do this, Spencer, because I know you're a little cheap when it comes to this
Big
stuff.
time.
Big time. But you can use HG Live as a discount code to get a discount on your entire order, 15% off. So head to thehate.com, head to throwbros.com.
You just said 50%, didn't you?
I did not. I said 15.
Oh, okay.
But if you out there watching, you want to go thinking you're getting 50%, just go in with that level of hope.
You just don't look at the price before and after. Just look at the after price.
Yeah. Just believe it.
50%.
Yeah, 1550. It's whatever. Just words and letters.
They're palindromes.
All right. I'm not sure you know what that means. You know, my daughter's name is a palindrome.
Forward and backward. Yeah, I know what it means.
All right. Race car. All right, so let's get into this. We got episode 2 of our issue of our the best in the world coming up. This is what we're working on now. Like, we did Braemar. We went through, looked at the best in the world at Braemar, broke them down, gave our opinions on who we thought it was. We're going to move ahead in the order. We're moving up to Openstone now.
Right.
So start us off, man. Who you got? I feel like we're going to disagree on some of these. I feel like there may be some headbutting on this. This is one of my favorite events in the games. Probably my favorite event.
Yeah, and the event's quite deep right now. You know, there's a lot of good throwers, but I feel like after last year and going into this next season, again, the top of the list is going to be Vlad. I think Vlad's most consistently hitting big numbers. Gosh, you know, it's hard. I didn't really see a lot of his numbers. Lucas Winta always throws, around that 60-foot mark, but he's throwing with a shot put overseas, so I really don't know how good he throws the stones. And here's Vlad, I think with this heavy stone at Worlds, I think he went somewhere around 57, 58 with it.
That's big.
He's a big throw. It was a huge throw. I mean, again, he's a great stone thrower. And standing patiently here is Matt Doherty. And we were talking before, and again, these are our opinions on who the best are, because if you look at the list on NASGA, it's only North Americans.
Right.
So that would include this Canadian fella. B, it's, your best throw of the season. So if you actually look at the open stone, it only takes into account your best throw. Some people might throw downhill. Some people might just pop one.
And some people just aren't consistent. And you could make a case that, and I think you have to, that the best in the world do it consistently.
Consistency, I think, it has to play a role in it. So
one thing that we talked about in looking at Vlad, that's a problem that you have, because you're not looking at, you can't see the European numbers in the same way in a single place that you can. But we can see sometimes if somebody in North America hits a big throw. So Andy Venton's a great example. Andy hit a pretty big throw. I can't remember what games he hit it at this year, but he was over 55. But when you look down the rest of the stone throws, he's not there on that list consistently. So he's capable of hitting that big stone throw.
Right.
But it colors your perception of him when you just look at the top throws that year.
And I will say this about Andy last year. Andy had, I think, the best open stone year he's ever had.
Yeah.
I can't remember Andy spending an entire season over the 50-foot mark at every single game. And I don't think I threw with him all year, other than at Loon, which I could be wrong. He might have still gone over 50, but at Loon, that's right after the flood or the hurricane. So Andy hadn't slept, and he wasn't his normal self. But
he lives in the Houston area.
Houston, yeah. So he had like 36 inches of water in his house.
Yeah, everybody's got an excuse. That's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Just throw further, puss. Right. No, but he was a little off form at that game. Obviously, that's a pretty good excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a good consistent year. But a good consistent year at 52, 53 feet isn't what it used to be.
Sure, not anymore. And we talked about that last episode with stone throwing too.
Yeah, gosh dang. Stone throwers, everything's going up right now, it seems like, as far as the pool of athletes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
So you put
really
Vlad,
annoying.
You put Vlad first on that list, and I've never thrown with Vlad. I've only seen him in 1 or 2 videos. Talk to me about what he's doing. What does he do with the stone? When you see this video of him throwing, what is it that he does from a technical perspective that makes him so dangerous at this event?
He makes it go further than everyone else.
That's a weird approach.
It is. It doesn't pay off for everybody, but Vlad seems to make it work.
He throws out of the glide.
Yeah, it's a glide. It's again, especially on grass, and the coach in me too. I'm looking at Vlad's right foot, and I wish he'd turn it more. But there's more consistency, especially on an inconsistent surface. You can control a lot more with a glide. It's way more linear. There's no rotation involved.
That's the reason. That's my primary way of throwing the stone. That's why.
Right. And it's. And again, it goes back to that consistency thing. For me, my college PR was from a glide.
Right.
But whenever I switched over to spin, within the first couple months, I was hitting monster throws. I just couldn't stay in.
Sure.
So it's there for some of us, rotationally, some not. But
yeah, and we mentioned last time we talked about his extension, and I think it's more on display in this throw, where you said like it almost doesn't feel like he's getting as far extended on the finish, but still he's managed to generate a lot of whip and power out of it. And
yeah, watch this right foot. See if he turned that more. God dang it, that's scary.
And that's something.
Vlad, don't watch this episode.
And that's something, and you could probably relate that back to the extension too. It's hard to extend that right arm when that right hip's still pointing back.
Yeah, basically, and now we're kind of getting off topic, but
that's okay.
Talking about tech, yeah, it's fine. It's a whatever show. You're landing with your feet basically like this,
right,
but you're trying to throw this way, so your hips can only rotate so far. Now, if you look, he's got a really quick right foot. It gets around anyway. Mm-hmm. But if he would land preloaded, God, that's a scary thought.
It is, and he. It's just his ability to stay relaxed through it is what kind of his ability.
Yeah, just if you ever meet the guy, you'll understand why he can stay relaxed. The dude's
just stone face.
Man, he's all business. After we were done with the competition, he he lightened up and had a few drinks with us. But he was there to compete. And,
yeah. And you mentioned that right foot too. That's something he was a shot putter. He came up as a shot putter throwing off of a concrete surface. Mm-hmm. And I actually talk about this in my book Heavy Light. Is the idea that a lot of shot putters they have to make that transition from kind of being a Ferrari or a Lamborghini on a concrete track in great weather, and they have to be more like an SUV. And turning that right foot is a little harder to do when you're launching off of grass. When you have to unseat it is in glide, like you have to unseat and move through grass. Compared to what it is on like a shot put ring, it feels like you're moving through muck sometimes. Mm-hmm. But his ability to transition and still throw in the high 50s, that's something.
Yeah, and I don't know what his best stone throw is in the games. I don't know if he's gone over 60 foot. Again, it's hard to find numbers for the European guys, but
yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me at all. I imagine he has.
Yeah.
God dang, the dude's a monster when it comes to stones.
He is, and that's why he's been in two episodes back to back.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move down the list now. This is where we might start butting heads a little, but who do you got next? Who do you got after Vlad?
Okay, this is where it gets kind of sticky because you got Dan Tennison,
mm-hmm,
and then mine, you got Scott Ryder. So Scott Ryder has always been throwing far. And he threw far last year. And the dude's like, how old are you, Scott? You're like 51, 52 now? But, he's thrown in the Commonwealth Games for London. Who's that fatty?
Now, there's you right there. Look at
that. Man.
Don't coach right now. We'll get back to it. Don't coach yourself yet.
My right foot's around, but why are you already airborne?
Why are you here?
Oh, man. That actually wound up being a pretty good throw. Here's Scott here.
Scott.
Scott's just consistent. He's been a shot putter. He's thrown. I think he told me his best out of the ring was like 63 or 64 foot out of a track circle.
Yeah.
He's gone over 60.
He's a rotational thrower.
He's a rotational guy, full rotation, and he's good. He's so balanced up. I think this stays on him for a while, but you could tell. This is just experience. He's been doing it forever.
Yeah, it's slow.
And he missed the finish on that a little bit. The ground was a little bit wet here, kind of was giving him fits out of the back. But I think the second best thrower going into next year. Oh man, that's tough because I don't know what Tennison's going to do, and I hate saying his name.
But Tennison went over 60
twice.
Yeah.
Well, as an amateur, I don't think he did it.
No, he
as
hasn't
a
done
pro.
it as a pro yet. He's too nervous around you guys.
Yeah, no. God, I don't know. It's really tough. I will give the edge going into next year to me. I'll take the number 2 spot.
All right, that's where we're
No.
That's where we're going to butt heads.
No,
I'm going to put you higher on
it's
the list than you put yourself.
I think it's Scott. I think it's Scott. I think I've only beat Scott head to head one time in open stone.
Yeah,
and that's when I'm throwing really well. But if we have the same stone, and it's a good stone, good consistent surface, Scott's hard to beat, man.
Yep, I agree.
It's hard to beat.
So, and you know, we talked about Scott being a rotational thrower there, and you talked about the experience and the balance, the number of times he's taken that motion, the number of times he's done that, even on turf, especially in a shot put ring. It just shows. Like, not a lot of guys, and this is, again, we're getting a little more technical in this one, but this is the open stone. This is fun stuff. You know, not a lot of guys are able to get, rotational guys are able to get that leg kick, like in his case, a right-handed thrower, able to get as much of an exaggerated leg kick as he gets.
Right.
Like a lot of you on grass, you have to stay tighter because you're not able to, you can't get as much, you're not as quick, you can't get out on the right as much, and a lot of guys tighten up that right leg, and he just looks so loose and relaxed, and it stays balanced. That's what
that's his biggest thing is, he's so balanced out of the back. And
Yeah.
That's where I have issues going to the full rotation, which I'm trying to work on this year because I always hit bigger throws with the full rotation.
You do.
But I really dig off the left in the back. So if you've got a soft surface,
Right.
it's hard for me to really dig out of the back. So I do the South African style or the MSA.
Yeah.
Actually, mine's a little more of a really tight South African throw because I don't zigzag through.
No, you're pretty linear. Like you don't. And so this is where I think we were probably going to.
That is a terrible. Whatever.
I'm glad I freeze framed that one. So, but this is maybe where I thought we were going to butt heads. Is that I would go Vlad. I would agree with Scott, and then I would put you ahead of Dan. Only because of the consistency issue, and I think some of that is because you did move to this particular technique. Like you said, you have the same affliction that a lot of throwers have, just at a higher level. Is that full spin can net some huge throws, but if it's not on, it's hard to keep it consistent. It's hard to make, the throws are going to have a much bigger percentage variation. And you've started, I think, with the MSA, the modified South African, this technique, I think you've consistently hit more numbers at the elite level.
Yeah, it takes that first movement out of the picture for me, which, for me personally, and I guess, most rotational guys, that first movement, that first getting around the left and then driving to the front off the left, if that doesn't feel good, you're not going to hit a big throw.
Right.
Or me especially, if it doesn't feel good, everything just kind of breaks down and shuts down. And it's hard. It's such a tight rotation that it's hard to really just hit the brakes and start over in a rotational throw for open stone. For me, so basically, if it feels bad out of the back, it just ends up being a wasted attempt because I'm just going to dump it out the front for a 4-foot measurement if they pull the tape in.
Right. So I mean, you're taking a link out of the chain. You're just saying like I'm going to start in a position where I know I can get going from.
Right. And the trade-off is you really cut off how much you can drive. Because if you see here, my left foot is up here instead of being way back here in the corner.
Yeah.
So getting, I'm cutting myself off an entire trig, half the trig of linear drive.
Yeah.
And I just have to do a really tight rotation. But it's been way more consistent for me to throw this way. Yeah.
And I think you are, I think a lot of the guys at the top are figuring out that are racking up wins as you're realizing that this is a 9-event games.
Mm-hmm.
This is 8 or 9 events, and focusing on trying to nail that monster stone could be great, but if you're doing it at the expense of 8 other events, and if you know that you can be in the top 2, top 3 in this group especially, if you can be there with a certain technique, then it's better to just do that, check the box, and move on. Yeah,
and that's where it's getting a little iffy these days because, again, everybody's getting so much better.
Yep.
So you go to Worlds and 55, 56, 57, you're walking away with it usually.
Right.
Now you got like 3 or 4 guys in there. So if you go in thinking if I hit 57 and I'm going to win, but you hit 56 and you wind up 5th, that's a giant point swing.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's so hard to back off. I used to think this was an event that I wouldn't have to focus so much on. Now I got to go right back to it and focus more and more on the stones because everybody's getting so damn good.
Yeah, well, you can't. That's
People just need to get worse than hammers. Damn it.
Well, we'll count on that. Yeah, I think that's
my goal.
Yeah, that's good. Just wait around for everybody to get old.
I'm not going to practice that stupid event.
All right, so let's move down. Let's say, okay, if we kind of disagree on the placement of Spencer versus Dan, let's just go ahead and include Dan. If it was not a top 3 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be a Highland Games live update show if we didn't talk about Dan Tennison, apparently.
That's true. Again, we'll get to the weights eventually.
Yeah, drop him right off there. He will disappear forever.
Yeah, Dan, we've got a pretty good video of Dan throwing here. He's another glide guy. This is his Braemar. We've already seen this one.
Yeah, but it's a good demonstration of just the kind of power he can put
It's
out
a good
in the front,
demonstration that we talked about last episode. Right. Thanks. No, we've got so Dan. I think this was this when he was an AM or was he pro here?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm wondering if this is Costa Mesa when he hit his 60-footer.
I think it is.
I mean, that dude hit some monster throws. I think that might have been the 60-foot throw.
Yeah.
If not, I think that's where he did it the year prior.
Yeah. And, a lot of the same things that we saw with Vlad work very well with Dan. And he does a pretty good job, maybe a little better job of getting that right foot turned. And
absolutely.
Getting his hips under him real well. One thing, I shot a quick video with Dan last year at Arlington when he was there. And I had him do a kind of just advice for throwers kind of thing, a little quick tip. And the biggest,
staying closed off more.
And the big shock, right? And staying closed off more and being able to turn your hips while you stay closed off. And he demonstrates it right there. Mm-hmm. The thing you have to bear in mind when you're watching these high-level throws too is that a lot of people expect when you see a 60-foot open stone that you're going to see something technically perfect, and that's just not the case.
No.
Really what you're looking for, and almost like any other sport, is you're looking for 75% of your technique and everything hitting at the right times. If you get that, you're probably going to hit a big throw. If you're feeling good and you're in shape, you can move a little bit. If you're able to move, you're mobile and you're fast. And 75% of the stuff you're working on hits, you're probably going to hit a big throw.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the cards just, the right things happen at the right time.
So that was actually a pretty good still frame of him turning his right foot.
Yeah.
More than say Vlad does, but
yeah. And look,
Tennison like at Arlington, that's the thing, and God dang, it's hard. I think Tennison had a hard time getting used to all the traveling and the just volume of games and throwing this first year as a pro.
Absolutely. That's well said.
I think he wasn't used to all the traveling, and it really showed late in the season. His stones started falling off. The events where he could relax a little more, like hammer, started getting a little better, but especially those stones just weren't there. You would still see the speed, but you wouldn't see that final pop that he was used to having.
No, that's a good point. And that's something I think a lot of people that are fans or that haven't been around the pros a lot don't realize is that when you get to the level of guys we're talking about, you're getting invited a lot of places.
September is miserable.
Yeah. You're those all 4 weeks of travel in September.
4 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Like September, I had a brand new baby and I was gone, I think 17 days in September. Oof. I went to Holland, got back, immediately went to Denver, got back, immediately went to New Hampshire, got back, and immediately went to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that's there's not a lot of...
And that's from Texas. Yeah. That's a lot of freaking time in the air, in a lot of time zones.
Because Texas is a wasteland for pro games. None of these that you're going to one in Texas.
Yeah, I can drive to one game all year.
Yeah.
It's fucking bullshit.
It is a little bit rough, I'm not going to lie to you.
Stupid.
Okay, so we have our top 3-4.
Right.
We've got that figured out. Going back again to our first episode, we like to talk about people that are on the cusp and people maybe to watch for. Who do you think, in terms of the stones, if you had to pick a dark horse, somebody that could come to one of the big games and surprise everybody and take a spot they're not supposed to, who's the person that's going to surprise you?
A guy that sneaks up and does really well, and it shouldn't be a surprise, but for some reason it is Matt Doherty, Canadian.
Yeah.
He's a good rotational guy. He's another full rotation guy. He's an accomplished shot putter, and he's got a good Braemar too. He sneaks in every now and again and hits some monster throws, but he's that guy too. It's got to time up just right. If he doesn't hit one just right, it'll be off by quite a lot. I think this comes up pretty quick here.
Well, and some of that is he's not the biggest guy on the field, too. And this
No,
is
he's typically the smallest by far. I think he was at Worlds this year. He was at like 230.
right. And this is
Actually, the guy who dropped him off, the guy who picked him up from the airport, Sebastian, old Seabass.
yeah.
I was sitting in there by myself eating, of course, just I was in the little restaurant area over here eating, and Doherty shows. There's Seabass right there. Seabass brings him in, and Doherty walks off.
Sebastian Winter, for those not.
No, that's not Winter. That's
Oh, there's
Sebastian Henning, I believe.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Doherty walks off, and Seabass looks at me. He goes, "That Matthew Doherty is he a good thrower?" I said, "Yeah, he's good. He's a great stone thrower." He goes, "This is Doherty right here." And he says, "But he is so small." Because I mean, you can't really tell here, but God, Matt is so much smaller than everybody else. But he's a strong dude.
Yeah, he's a great weightlifter too. Like he's got decent clean and jerk and snatch numbers too. Which, look, that's the name of the game when you're throwing.
Yeah, you got to have that explosive power, and he's a good wire hammer thrower.
Yeah.
So
those guys translate really, really well to this sport. I'd like to point out there too.
The wire hammer guys.
Yeah, a lot of the track and field guys that I've seen, shot putters do pretty well in some of the events, but wire hammer guys tend to do really well when they come over to this sport.
I don't know how many frames this has, but again, I just look at right feet because my right foot's bad. So, see, he's pointing straight back, but it gets around so daggum quick. Mine does the same thing. But yeah, Doherty's a guy that can sneak up and ruin somebody's day. Again, like I say, you show up to the games and you're throwing 55, 56, and you think you're going to be top 2 or 3. All of a sudden, you're sitting in 5th. People like Doherty show up.
Right, and he's gone 57 before. He's got all the Canadian records for stones.
Is that it? I wouldn't be surprised if he'd gone well over that.
And maybe he has. That's just
I think he might.
That's the highest one I found when I was looking through
From last year.
I think I was just looking for his best throw.
Okay,
but yeah, I'm sure it's been more.
Yeah, because he hits big numbers.
But I can totally, being a smaller guy in the sport, I can relate to, when I throw in the lightweight class, it's a little bit more even. Like it's easier to predict where I'm going to be. But when I throw in an open class, I can, if everything comes together, I can put one together and I can be in the top 3 very easily sometimes in stone. But when you're small, when you don't have a lot of body mass behind you, there's an unfortunate thing that that's going to help you sometimes. And
that's the thing with open stone though, where like you say, you can sneak up on somebody because it's only 16 pounds.
Right. It's not the heavy.
So your body weight doesn't play a role like it does in the heavyweight for distance.
Right. But what I've noticed,
I said body weight and you look straight at my gut.
Just right. That you mean that stuff?
Thanks, pal.
But yeah, like what it does is it removes your fudge factor when you're smaller. A lot of times, I mean, there are guys that
fudge.
I'm killing you right now, aren't I? A lot of times guys that are bigger, I've even had this confessed to me by you and other guys. There are some times where you feel like you miss a throw, but you're still able to get a pretty decent number out of it because
without a doubt,
you're moving it because you got mass behind it. If I miss small parts of a throw, sometimes it's a total waste. Like, it can be a total waste because there's nothing else behind it if I don't have everything.
Yeah, your allowance for error is definitely smaller than ours. I mean, hell, Celtic's a good example. I think my best throw last year was at Celtic with a heavy stone. I think it was it's right at 17 pounds, and I went 57 with it, and I didn't hit a single one of them.
Right.
Like, I timed some up pretty good, but none of them, as soon as it left my hand, once you hit a good stone throw, you know it. That's instant gratification for you, leaving the hand on the stone. And every single one of them was like, I don't know if that's the one. And then that 57-footer hit, and I look down and see 57 foot. I'm like, holy shit, where'd that come from?
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be that far.
Yeah.
But that's
cheating.
It is cheating. But still, I was nervous the whole time. I'm like, fucking Tennison's after me.
Right.
He follows my throw, so he's going to come out and smash one. I think I ended up beating him by like 4 inches or something there.
Yeah. Okay. Far enough.
Story of his life.
4 inches is all you need. I'm gonna stand by that. 4 inches being all you need.
That's true. I think it's overkill.
It is. It's just bragging at that point.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so yeah, I agree with you. Doherty's one that could sneak up. And here's the crazy thing about this sport right now, about the environment, about the number of athletes that we're actually bringing to this sport, is that you don't know who it's going to be within 2 years. Like, there could be somebody in the AMs right now. There could be a phenom that comes through, somebody that just decides, hey, I'm going to give this a shot.
Right.
And you don't know. Like, when you're talking single events, now when you're talking across 8 or 9, it's a different deal. I think it takes time. You can almost predict who's going to come out and who's going to be the person. Tennison's about the closest thing to a meteoric rise we've seen. It still takes 2 seasons to get, to where, or it takes 2 to 3 more to get to where you can win at that level. But to be a phenom in an event or two, that can happen quick nowadays because we have so many good athletes coming in. So that's what I'm interested to see, is what happens in the next couple of years when just some monster shot putter just decides, like, I'm going to try that Highland Games thing.
Yeah, look at it. We've got ex-hammer throwers that are really good that have come out.
Yeah.
Had really good discus throwers come out.
Yeah.
Hell, Zolk was like a 205 guy. John O'Neill doesn't really throw much anymore, but he was over a 200-footer. We're talking 61, 62, 63 meter guys. That's huge.
That's big.
That's a big discus throw. Jeff Milliron's another guy. He's right around that 61 meter mark. And you think, okay, they're going to come in and just dominate, and they never do. They'll dominate some events, but it's always surprising to me. I'm like, okay, here comes, we always like, here comes an actual athlete, and then you just kind of realize, like, hell, we're all actual athletes,
right?
As loosely as we use that term, but all laughing aside, it's like, no shit. Once you actually start honing in on what we're doing here, like it takes some ability, and
sure,
that's. And I've caught some flack online about us focusing just on the pros here,
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing. I was like, well, what other sport focuses on, of course there are going to be some at the amateur level that are eventually going to be pro, and then they'll get some focus. But that's when you weed out. But when the people who are just athletically above and beyond the rest of the pack show up, that the stuff they're capable of doing is always just kind of, holy shit, where did this come from?
Well, and that's what you want to emphasize in a sport. It's not that you want to discourage amateurs from doing it, but
not at all.
I mean, the amateurs the closest analog, and it's not even a real good one, is that it's the minor leagues. It really is. Like, it's a place where you're cutting your teeth and you're learning.
It's a stepping stone to.
It's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
And look, it's not to say that we will never ever cover anything amateur on this channel, but we're probably going to try to tailor that towards, okay, the things that are truly noteworthy and where you're going to have guys or girls that are going to be the top level pros, that are going to be the best, and they're competing. Like, we want to give you that idea of, like, this is what's next, because we talk about that. We make no bones about it. We talk about who's on the cusp, what's happening next year, and then as the season progresses, if we see, like, man, there's a games where 3 guys are throwing legit pro numbers and they just happen to be amateurs.
Well, exactly.
You can bet we're going to be covering that games.
Yeah, and that's kind of a segue into, we've got a lot of plans for this channel and how we're going to cover the live throwing events moving forward, and hopefully, the North-South competition, which is an amateur competition. But typically, the winner of that goes pro the following year.
Yeah.
And I'll put all my money against Beach not winning North-South.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. But you never know, man.
But
lightning in a bottle. You don't know.
Exactly. But not exactly. That competition has been one that's been kind of a measuring stick for... these are hand-picked teams that are typically, you pick the best from your region to come compete on your team.
Typically.
Now, the South didn't do that this year. That's why I say typically.
Now, South is a mess, but
no, I don't even know who's on the team. I have no idea.
I mean, it's
sure. Anyway, but I don't know that there's been a North-South champion that hasn't gone pro. I don't know that that's ever happened. And same with the...
We're talking about the individual that has the best...
The individual
champion.
Because obviously there's either the North or the South wins, but there's also an individual champion at that game.
Yeah.
Gets the... I think that one year I won, I got a samurai.
Ooh.
It was weird, but it was great. I sold it for like $600.
And that's why you get into the Highland Games.
Yeah, man.
And it's weird because there's 2 things at play there. Like, maybe there's like that was classy. Maybe
It was a hair, it wasn't a bug.
Yeah, prove it. We're gonna go back and watch the tape on that one. We're gonna slow mo that one. I got the editing software.
That's fine. You'll see my beautiful tongue.
So there's two things at play there with North-South. Like, yeah, there's like maybe a ceremonial thing that you're going to do it. But usually, if you're able to win that games, it means you're pretty good and you're throwing pro numbers anyway. So it's time.
Yeah.
Like, if you're winning that games and your numbers don't stack up, well, then you just won a pretty good amateur game. So that's really, if you're throwing against the best and you beat the best, I think it's a good kind of bellwether to say, like, okay, your numbers are good enough to beat that group of people.
Right.
It's time to go.
And I think there's like 3 big amateur games that consistently the champion is pumped up to the pro level within a year or two, and that's North-South, Enumclaw, and then Pleasanton.
Yeah.
So I think those are all noteworthy amateur games that do deserve, a little more attention because those guys are going to be studs. And all that said earlier, I'm not trying to shit on an amateur class by any means.
Yeah, but there's a lot more of them than there are pros too. And
without a doubt.
In the pro class, if we're looking at this like, what Highland Games Live is that we are trying to find the best examples of this sport being done, and we're trying to give that to the world. And we know that there's a better chance when you go to a pro class and you look, these are people that have put in their time, that treat this like a job, that try to be the best that they possibly can. And there's not a lot of weekend warriors in the pros. That's just not how it goes.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to see some big dumb animals doing crazy stuff.
Right. And look, you go to the circus to see the elephants.
I'm still impressed at some of the shit the guys I throw with, how did you do that? Where'd that come from?
Right.
And I'm used to seeing these guys compete at just a super elite level.
Yeah.
And still from time to time, and Chuck Caston's one of those guys. I'm just like, where did that come from?
Yeah, no, he's a mystery.
What are you doing?
He's too friendly to throw as well as he does.
Yeah, no, he's, again, whatever. Those people you just wish you could hate.
Yeah.
But Chuck has become like one of my favorite people of all time in the Highland Games. And I just want to hate him, but he's so nice.
It's like you want him to be like a like a horrible human being like a Nate Burchett. You want him to be a bad person like Nate is, so you can just dislike him, but Chuck's just too good.
No, he's too good, man. He still sends me steaks on my birthday.
No,
Omaha steaks.
You get Christmas cards from the Casson
Man,
family?
I do. They're just good folks. The whole family.
Chuck, I'm a little disappointed I'm not getting a Christmas card, buddy.
Don't send him one. He doesn't deserve it. He's not a friend. He's never shared a bed with you or underwear.
You don't know. I travel.
I steal things.
I get out to the Midwest once in a while. You don't know what I'm up to.
It's true. But, I guess we kind of got off topic there a little bit.
Well, imagine that. But,
I wanted to...
The Arnold, too. We talked about the Arnold. Like the Arnold's going to have great amateurs and great pros. So that's something that we want to bring a live stream to. We're organizing that right now. Throw Bros is going to be a sponsor for that show. Like, all this sort of stuff is going to happen in the name of getting this sport in front of more eyes. And that's the whole idea. Like, we love this. We genuinely believe in this sport. Just like Spencer's saying, these are some of the best athletes in the world at this particular thing, and sometimes at other things too. Like, these are great athletes, and we really believe that this needs to hit more eyes and more people need to see and appreciate.
Yeah, you talk about best athletes in the world. Take half Thor out of the equation.
Sure. It's tough to do.
And look at what Mike Zolkowicz has done in the weight over bar.
Right.
Nobody's ever thrown as high as that guy has done, and he's a Highland Games athlete.
That's right.
And then go just below that, and all these other Highland Games guys, I'm happy to be in the group that have thrown over 18-foot standing. So very few people are capable. And strongmen have competed in this event for decades.
Yep.
This specific weight over bar.
56-pound weight over bar.
And these are people that are stronger than... They're 1% of the strength on the planet, right? But they're freaks in the Highland Games. And yeah, that's what we would like to put on display. Like, God, these guys are athletic.
Yeah.
Even though we may not look it.
Yeah, athletic at any size, hashtag.
Yeah. I got the weirdest compliment whenever I was an amateur.
Yeah.
Wayne Kearns, that piece of shit. No, Wayne as the world Kearns at a game in Oklahoma, the first time he had ever seen me throw. And I was actually in better shape then.
I was better shape than now?
I was lighter.
Yes.
I looked worse.
Yeah.
But my body weight was lighter. But I walked up and had a good game, and I think it finished up with me going like 16-6 in WOB or something. And he came up to me after the game. He's like, "Man, I got to tell you, you're the most surprisingly explosive person I've ever seen in my life." That's not the backhanded compliment. I mean, that's a little
Just the
backhanded.
appetizer.
And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. He's like, yeah, dude, when you walked up, I was like, God, this guy looks like a bag of sandwiches. It's like, what the fuck does that mean? A bag of sandwiches? He's like, yeah, and then you start dropping bombs. I'm like, God, this bag of sandwiches can throw. I was like, yeah, how's that make you feel, bud? This bag of sandwiches just wipe the floor with your ass. Yeah, this is the weirdest
Now,
compliment.
do you actually have a bag of sandwiches?
I might have had a bag of sandwiches.
You might have
with
had
me.
one. That might
Little gas station Sammy Sosa's.
So when I was throwing in the open a little bit more, I was probably about 225 pounds. Not big by any stretch of the imagination with what we're talking about, but I was training a lot. I was moving a lot. I was throwing a lot, doing a lot of Olympic lifting and jumping. And my wife, we were at some birthday party thing in like some gymnastics place, and I jumped up onto like a 48-inch box, just like hopped up real quick. Not anything like record breaking, just
Tore both my quads.
right. And another guy's at the same time. But I jumped up there, and she told me after, it was one of the best compliments I ever got from her. Weird, but it was kind of backhand. She's like, I didn't know you could like move like that as much as you weigh now. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you're like a fast moving brick.
Thanks.
Thanks, honey.
You should see me in water. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so my wife is lovely. She's a lovely woman.
Yeah, I like doing that, though. I like surprising people with the fat man athleticism.
Oh, yeah.
Every now and again, people are just like, what?
Yeah.
And the pull-up thing, too, is something people are like, how many pull-ups can you do? Somebody challenged me to pull-ups one day at a game, like on a soccer goal.
Yeah.
I was like, sure, you go first. I'll double whatever you do.
Yeah.
It was a younger guy who played college football, but he was a line. I can't remember who it was. Anyway, so he challenged me to pull-ups, and he did like 2, and we did strict pull-ups. And I thought he was joking. I'm like, you're done? And I weighed like, at that time, I think I weighed 320, and I did 13 strict pull-ups. And he was just like, he's like, bitch, I'm probably stronger than you. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, let's not get silly now.
Well, I could probably be as strong as you pretty soon. No, you can't.
That's changing the rules of the game.
You just
there a
don't
little
understand how it works. It's like it takes decades, and I'm still not strong. Like I'm moderately strong, but
bit. Right. Strong for what I do.
dang it,
All right. Well, I think we rambled plenty. I think we got through the best in the world. I think
a lot of this is going to get cut out. I'm pretty
let's
sure.
hope. Yeah. But I think we got a good. I think we got a good conversation going at least. And if you have different ideas about who you think's the best in the world at the open stone, hit us in the comments. Who do you think's up and coming? Who do you think is the next big open stone thrower?
Yeah, I did see somebody commented last time they thought Chuck was up there, and Chuck's on the rise, but he's not in the top 5 yet, I don't think.
So I think we've rambled on enough. But if you like what we're doing here, make sure you hit the subscribe bell down there, the notification bell. Make sure subscribe to the channel for sure. You should already be, but hit that bell. Make sure you get the notification.
Yeah, get a YouTube account and subscribe.
if you haven't done that, because that way you know when these are coming out. We're going to try to be pushing these out every week, at least every 2 weeks. We're going to try to get you as much content as we can about the Highland Game.
Absolutely.
This is the whole point of this. This is why we're doing the live streams. This is why we are trying to get footage from the best games. We're trying to open conversations. We believe in Highland Games athletes. We believe that this is something that people would really, really love if it goes to a wider audience. And the entire point of this, the entire point of Throw Bros being a sponsor of this, is that the dollars that Highland Games athletes and fans choose to spend there goes towards things like this.
Yep.
Towards getting better equipment for the Highland Games live stream, towards upgrading things for athletes, the things that we can do for athletes out there, the exposure we can give them. That's the whole point of this. Like I said, we believe in this stuff. We believe in the athletes, and I'm excited to see what we're going to be doing with live streaming, man. I'm fired up about that.
Oh, I can't wait. You know, the plan moving forward is going to be something that on our level that's never been done. You know, we're going to put for free in your hands a live broadcast that's going to look like something you'd see on ESPN or ABC, CBS Sports or something like that.
Yep.
You know, a legitimate.
But not Fox Sports. No, not them.
Why not Fox? Did they do something wrong? any of the networks, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to have the manpower right off the bat, or the money, but you know we're going to try fake it till you make it, right?
There you go.
We're going to try and have a bare bones crew at the games and get by, even if we have to try and do it with just one person and all stationary cameras, but. It should be. I don't want to say too much. I really want the first stream to kind of knock your socks off, and hopefully that happens. We'll see. It may just be a huge fat turd.
Right. Well, and
but there's going to be a learning curve for sure, and that's why we mentioned we're starting off with an amateur event. hopefully, if we can get into that one, we're going in guns a-blazing. We're going to try and make that an awesome stream. Again, if we can get there. And then with the Arnold to follow, hopefully the Arnold is a big step up.
Yep.
And then don't know what's going to happen with Worlds, but the big games, and we're going to find out exactly what games we're going to stream. Of course, the basic stationary streaming will be available for most games on Facebook, but the good big competitions, I think we're going to migrate 100% to YouTube, and it's going to be multi-camera, and it's going to have commentary, and it's going to be a real major step up.
Yeah, and we're always going to err on the side of giving something instead of doing nothing, because there hasn't been this kind of stuff before, and even if we can't get it perfect, we're still going to have a camera running.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, the throws is what you want to see. Mm-hmm. The athletes is what you want to see, and we're going to make sure that there's a resource for that.
Yeah, and the Facebook page will definitely have the smaller pro games, just running a simple feed.
Yeah,
but we really want people to buy into the YouTube page and really buy into what we're doing, and hopefully, again, take it somewhere where this could be a mainstay in the Highland Games from this point moving forward. Bring a lot more sponsors to the games that have never even thought about sponsoring a bunch of fat guys in kilts out throwing things.
Right.
Give them an avenue to say, holy shit, this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's where we go. I'm confident that we're going to be rocking and rolling in a couple of years.
Yep, me too. That is the dream. So thank you everybody for watching again. We'll catch you next time.